In May of 2020, FreightWaves Live is headed back to the largest freight market in the Southeast, Atlanta, Georgia. Join FreightWaves for our best event yet, featuring captivating keynote speakers and rapid-fire demos of technology that is sure to take our industry to the next level. This is your opportunity to interact with some of the most innovative leaders as we mark a new decade in transportation. See you in Atlanta May 5th and 6th.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this December 23rd edition of FreightWaves Now. We got a quick show for you today. Luke Falasca with a broker update here in a few minutes, but first up, your carrier update presented by PowerFleet. Hey everyone, and welcome to your carrier update presented by PowerFleet. So volumes have taken a quick turn up here leading into the final days, leading into Christmas. This is a little bit unexpected. Last year at this time, volumes had already collapsed a little bit. So we're really not expecting this little uptick leading into Christmas coming up, because it just doesn't make that much sense, because all that freight should have been out. Well, why is this happening? So one of the reasons this is happening is a lot of the freight is getting pushed out in front of the holiday for the next few days or the week after New Year's, for instance. So we're looking at the tender lead time map right here. This time last year, we had lead times well above 3.5 days. Right now, we're looking at about 3-day lead time. So this means that there's a lot of freight being pushed out for the days following Christmas and then also after New Year's. So any of these volumes are basically shippers getting ahead of what's happening. So tender rejection rates over 12% right now, still pretty significantly tightening of capacity leading into Christmas. A lot of the markets in the country right now experiencing tightened capacity. If you look at the weighted rejection index tree map behind me here, anything in green essentially is seeing an increasing weighted rejection index value over the last day or so. But all of these values, if you look at all these absolute values right here, they're all positive. That means that they have all seen increasing tender rejection rates over the last week or so. So looking into this area up here around Harrisburg, Allentown, Elizabeth, New Jersey, the Northeast continues to be one of the tightest areas of the country, especially on the shorter haul freight. So any carriers operating up there, if they're willing to take some freight, moving a shorter distance over the next week or so, you should be looking good, but make sure that you charge for it, because capacity is quite low at this point in time. Atlanta market finally showing up on the radar in terms of increasing tender rejection rates, and a very sizable market in that area. So anybody wanting to move over the next few days, 7 days or so, really needs to pay attention there. Ontario, still tight. Augusta, Maine, a very small market, but the reason it's showing up here is because we're seeing a super tight and increasing rejection rate over the last couple of days. So this is an anomalous move for this market. So anybody willing to move out of that market should be able to charge a ton of money to get out of Augusta, Maine for once in your life. Go ahead and go up to Augusta, Maine. But I want to target a more common market just to give you guys a tidbit leading into the holiday as we go into Christmas. So the Indianapolis market, right here in the middle, the heart of the country. A lot of freight moves through this corridor right here from Columbus to Indianapolis, through Chicago, back and forth around here in the megalopolis. And so anything that happens here in terms of tightening capacity is going to be increasing opportunities. A lot of carriers in this market right now. A lot of freight moves through this corridor. Anybody willing to drive over the next few days should have a pretty good chance of finding some increasing freight volumes. But also not just volumes, but they need to make sure that they charge for anything that they move, especially if they're going to book these loads prior to the holiday. So go ahead and grab these before, especially if you're looking at the load board now. We're starting to see, we had the doughtage over the weekend, but if you can find any of this freight on the spot boards at this point in time, go ahead and make sure that you get these margins elevated, especially over this period of time. And that'll do it for today's carrier update.
The comprehensive logistics offerings from PowerFleet cover in-cab ELD, fleet management, trailer tracking, cargo monitoring, and tracking other assets such as chassis and intermodal containers. Power up your operations with PowerFleet.
Hi everyone, I'm Luke and I'm bringing you your broker update for today. And we're almost here towards Christmas and then New Year's next week. So we've just about finished out the year. So we're going to take a look at a couple of sets today to make sure we finish out the year strong. All right, taking a look at the chart behind me here, we've got in blue the outbound tender rejection percentage here in the United States over, since about early November. Now we've been looking at this, we've seen this massive spike up to here as we lead into Christmas. We're sitting at a little over 12.5%. So that's a massive spike. We're starting to level off a little bit, so not too many spikes going on here in the last couple of days, but that is something to keep an eye on. We haven't seen these levels all year long. So that's a really good sign if you're looking to really increase your spot market bids. So as you continue to push pricing up, that's a really good sign. Also looking at the volume levels here, you'll notice in the green line are volume levels. So we kind of saw some spike and dip after Thanksgiving, and we've dipped down a little bit, but we're starting to level off and hold that volume level steady there, that green line. So no further dips there. That's a good sign. It means there's still plenty of volume to move. Taking a look at our weighted rejection map here, remember this is what we like to call our money map, right? So the areas in blue are going to be areas you might want to focus on for some sales calls today. You know, there's still some folks in the office today and even next week. So if you're looking to pick up a few extra lows to make a little bit extra money now around the holidays, this is a great time to do it. The markets in red are going to be markets that aren't moving too much. They're fairly soft. So what I would do is focus on some of these markets here in blue. Ontario and LA are still moving. Salt Lake City. Atlanta's a big one, still moving a lot. And that's really impressive for a market of that size. And we're going to dive into that. So this chart here is, the blue line is Atlanta's dry van outbound tender rejection percentage here. We're sitting at just under 9% right now. That's really, really high for Atlanta, especially a market of this size. This market is the largest market by outbound volume right now in the United States, and we haven't seen rejections like that all year long. And that one's still pushing up. While the rest of the market has sort of flatlined a little bit, Atlanta's still pushing up. So if you're moving freight out of Atlanta, continue to push those spot market bids up. The orange line here is going to be the reefer line. We're sitting at just under 14% here. So if you're moving either reefer or driving, continue to push your spot market bids up. Now let's look at a couple of the lanes here. What we have is at the top, we've got Atlanta to Bloomington sitting a little over 15% on the rejection level. Atlanta to Harrisburg, Wilmington, Indianapolis, Philadelphia, Columbus, all those markets kind of in the Northeast or that central Midwest part of the United States around Ohio and Indiana, right, or Pennsylvania. All those markets are really starting to heat up. So if you're moving any freight on these lanes, they're all pushing up higher and higher, Bloomington, Harrisburg, Wilmington. So if you're moving freight in those areas, push your spot market bids well above your rates where they were last week. And I'm Luke, and that'll do it for your broker update for today. And thank you for joining us for FreightWaves Now.
FreightWaves continues to follow the incredibly sad story of Indianapolis-based carrier Celadon Group abruptly shutting its doors, leaving 4,000 people without jobs weeks before Christmas. We here at FreightWaves want to help. FreightWaves has established a free job board for companies to post their openings and for people looking for employment in the freight industry to share their resumes. There's no cost for anyone to participate. Hundreds of jobs have already been added to the site since it went live on Monday. If you're looking for employment or have a job to post, head to freightwaves.careers.